My name is Nikki Kashtan, and this is the Conflict Hotline. With me in the studio today are Itzel and Sigal. Welcome back for another episode of the Conflict Hotline. Together, we will be working on situations from people's lives. And today we have a theme. We're focusing on anger today. And our scenario is called Not That Again, and features Rosa and Rob. And Rob is home from work, and you have a story to tell.
So, Rosa, you won't believe it. It happened today again. My boss gave me this project to work on, and then she came up and checked it 10 minutes later. It's like I hadn't even begun to work on it.
Not
right?
that again.
So, you didn't even let me finish. You're just assuming that I'm going to tell the same story every time, and I'm going to tell something else.
The same boring story every time, so...
Oh, so now my stories are boring?
Well, when I hear it over and over, it gets boring.
But it was going to be a totally different ending, but you disrespectfully interrupted me in the beginning.
Well, it's not just, you're being just as disrespectful by just wasting my time with the same exact story
Wasting your time? What? So anything I say to you is wasting your time?
No, well, it is if it's just the same thing over and over.
Well, fine. Maybe I just won't ever speak to you.
Oh, gosh, Rob, don't be ridiculous.
Ridiculous?
I'm not saying don't ever speak to me. I'm just saying stop telling me the same things over and over and over ad nauseum.
Thank you. Has anything similar to this ever happened to you, where a conversation goes on and on, nowhere, very fast? So we are going to work with you in a moment on how to transform this and work with it and do something different. In the meantime, I want to say the purpose of this program is to support people like you in learning skills and habits and ways of thinking and speaking that transform conflicts. This is an all-volunteer effort. The cast and most of the crew are affiliated with Bay Area Nonviolent Communication, and the rest of the crew are affiliated with Berkeley Community Media, which is also hosting the show and giving us access to the studio space. If you'd like to participate, if you'd like your conflict to be played out today, please call us, 510-433-0700. You can call about all kinds of conflict, such as...
You could be having a conflict at work, maybe with your boss or one of your coworkers.
Just like Rob just had a conflict with his boss.
Exactly.
You could also be having a conflict with a family member or a close friend.
Or you can have a conflict with your partner, spouse, or you can even have an internal conflict. Whatever it is, please call us and we will work with it to support you and everyone else who watches the show. So let's go back to the opening role play. And before we start that, I want to talk a little bit about anger, the dynamics of anger. I mean, one of the things that we saw here is there was a ricochet. Yeah. Every time you got angry, you got angrier. As you got angrier, you got angrier. It was escalating out the roof pretty soon. So the question is, first of all, what is it that's going on? Why is it that we get angry? That's the first thing. And the second thing that we will look at is what can we do instead? And one of the things that it helps in remembering this is that usually anger doesn't start right away at the top. There is an escalation that usually happens. And in this case, at first, when Rosa was telling you that she already heard it, you were kind of surprised, maybe a little hurt, but you weren't quite angry. Mm-hmm. But she persisted. Mm-hmm. And as she persisted, you got angry, and you got angrier.
Yeah.
So the question is, where can we catch it and turn it around? And we can catch it in you before you get angry.
Okay.
Or we can catch it in you after he gets angry to see if there's something you can do instead of responding to him in a way that will escalate it. So that's going to be what we're going to try to do. And first I want to say, what is it that happens when we are angry? So some things may look obvious and some things are less obvious. The first thing is, if you're angry, it's a signal that something is really not working for you. In this case, my guess is that a big need of yours that was not met is a need for respect.
Yeah.
Were there other needs?
Care, love.
Yeah. So anger tells you that there's at least a need of yours that is really not met. But that's not the only way to respond to a need that's not met. Sometimes we respond to a need that's not met with sadness or fear or a variety of other feelings. Anger tells you that other things are going on. One is, I'm guessing that you had some judgments of Rosa. Did you?
Yeah, I did. Do you want to hear them?
Yeah.
My judgment was that she was being impatient and intolerant and not a good wife.
Yeah. So we have ideas about what constitutes a good wife, what a good wife should do. As soon as we have some ideas about what somebody should do, and then somebody does something different from what they should do, that's a recipe for anger. But even that is not completely sufficient to trigger anger. There's also, in my mind, a sense that I need to do something for myself. That if I don't, raise my voice or do something, then I'm going to be walked all over. So I don't have, usually if I'm going to get angry, it's because I don't have a real strong sense of power in the moment that I can do something to take care of my needs. Was that true for you in that moment?
Yeah, like the only power I had is to increase my my volume and my intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I want to do the same kind of exploration with your anger that came afterwards, because eventually you got angry.
Yeah.
And so again, do you have a sense of what was not working for you? What was your need that was not met?
Well, I really felt like, it's interesting because it was a lot of the same needs that came up. It was respect. I felt like there wasn't really respect or care about the fact that I've heard these stories and I have ways I want to spend my time, and it's not hearing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, so there's, okay. And then I'm also the same thing. So there's a need that's not working, and then there's a judgment.
Yeah.
What was the judgment that you had of him?
That he doesn't care. He doesn't care about my time. It doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter that, I have other things that I want to be taken care of. He thinks that just telling me the same story over and over is enough for me or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same story.
Wait, we'll get to that. Right now we're just trying to unpack this phenomenon that we call anger that dominates so much of so many people's lives. So really understanding. And then the last thing is, I actually saw it. You tried several times before getting angry to express that, you just didn't want it. Yeah. But eventually you got angry.
Yeah, eventually I did. I had the sense that that Rob wasn't seeing my side at all. It was just his side and his way. And
yeah, so you didn't have a sense of efficacy about being able to get him to hear you.
Yeah.
So then the tragedy of anger, all this makes easy sense, but the tragedy of anger is that if our needs were not met before we got angry, getting angry is going to guarantee that they're not going to get met. Because I don't have a sense that getting angry worked for either of you. So there's a paradox here. We don't want to make anger bad. It's just like we want to understand what to do with it. And what most people do with it is either act it out or suppress it. Either way, you are not in a relationship of investigation with it. And what I want to support you as we explore this situation, what I would like to support you with is to have a way of kind of like inquiring into the anger instead of just acting it out or suppressing it. Neither one of you were suppressing it in this scenario, but that could happen. That does happen. So we'll get to explore what it means to suppress the anger and go into kind of like more of a fear mode later. But I just want to know if either of you has anything you'd like to add or comment or in this moment before we get into what could be done.
No, I'm curious to see what there is there.
Yeah? What
Yeah,
about
I could tell this was I mean, this was going nowhere. We were just going to storm out of the room.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, which way to go first? Which one of you feels ready for the exploration?
I could try.
You could try. Okay.
Sure.
So, what I see that happened is that you repeated yourself. This is a tendency we all have. It's not quite like the anger thing itself, but we say something, the other person doesn't hear us. What do?
Say it again
We
louder.
say it again louder. Like, okay, you didn't hear me, I'm going to turn up the volume. So if we're thinking pragmatically, if I'm saying something and the other person is not hearing me, there must be a block.
Okay.
What's your sense of what was the block here? Why wouldn't he hear you?
I think he really wanted me to hear him.
Right. That is often the block. Was that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question that I want to ask myself always is, if I know that the other person wants me to hear them, do I have it to give? Mm-hmm. That could be a way to get started. So let's kind of like, before we get back into the situation, play it out inside of you.
Okay.
There he is, he's telling the story, and you say, I already heard this. And he says, well, that's not the same thing. Why are you cutting me off? Or whatever the words were. Clearly he's wanting to be heard. What would stop you from opening your heart to hearing him?
Well, I definitely have judgments about how he's communicating this to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if he just said, look, I'm really upset because I wanted to tell you the story, and I can understand why you might be frustrated. If it was presented to me in a different way, but it was how it was presented to me that made it difficult for me to open my heart to him at that moment.
Okay, so what was the characteristic of how you interpreted how it was presented?
My interpretation was harsh and not caring, not loving.
Okay, so it's very important, if we're going to open our hearts, that we have a really solid relationship inside with ourselves. And what that means is to take some time, if you can, even in the moment. Usually it takes, some practice to be able to do it in the moment. But right now we're kind of like taking a big time out.
Okay.
And so what was, in that moment, important to you was to have a sense of being cared about.
Yeah.
So you can take, literally almost take a few breaths to remind yourself just how important it is for you to be cared about.
Okay. And I mean, I guess it's that I want to feel cared about by him.
Yes.
That's how it feels in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just be with that.
Yes, you start with that, but really, we are attached to having it be by him, but really that just is a pointer that there is a very important need for you of being cared about.
Sure.
So we have a caller on the line, so I would like to put a pause on this before we continue exploring the dynamics of anger and see what we get from the serendipity of having a caller.
Okay.
Is this an okay moment to pause? Will you remember where we were?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, is there a caller already on the line? Okay, the caller is Jack from Oakland. Jack, are you there? Is Jack there?
Hello.
Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Welcome. Welcome to the
I'm gonna do
conflict.
this. I'm not quite sure how to proceed. I guess I talked to the screener and she said I was supposed to state my needs and feelings.
Jack,
That's it.
I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you to slow down your speech because I'm having a hard time hearing you when you speak this fast.
Okay.
Are you able to speak more slowly?
Sure.
Thank you. So tell me what's on your mind and heart. What would you like us to work with today?
Well, I have a relationship issue, communication with my girlfriend. It's sort of a pattern, I guess, that concerns me that we fall into where I get upset. I guess we both get triggered, but I'm the one with the anger problem. I guess I get angry.
So did you say that you get angry, Jack?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you remember a particular incident where what you say that there's a pattern, a particular incident where this...
Yeah, well, just today, yeah, we had an example today, which
slow down, please pace the words, slow down and speak up a little bit.
Okay, today we had an argument, miscommunication, and I got angry today. And this is typical of our problem. So she was telling me about a problem. She had a personal problem. It's her apartment, actually. She's trying to sublet it and get someone to take it, but she's having trouble finding someone. And so she started thinking aloud, I guess, about her money situation and saying, well, if I reduce the price, maybe I can get someone, but that will cost me money, but then maybe I'll save money because I can live somewhere else cheaply. And so I'm listening to her, and I want her to know that I'm listening actively, that I'm hearing her, not just being a bump on a log. And so also I want to help. So I'm thinking about this, and I said, well, I'm good with math. So I said, here's like a way you can think about it. If you multiply this number times that number and divide by this, then you can figure out whether it's better to save or you'll save or lose money.
Can I pause you for a second, Jack?
Uh-huh.
It sounds to me like you were trying to solve her problem. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is something that she doesn't always like, that she just wants to be heard.
Yes.
Rather than for me to try to solve her problem.
Uh-huh.
But since she had, she actually stated this as a problem, like, I wonder, what if I do this or that? And then, like I said, I just said, oh, well, here's the answer. But then, so she was overwhelmed, I guess, by all the numbers, and maybe I do talk too fast. And so I guess then she said, well, I just don't want to talk about it anymore. And that triggered me, and I felt really kind of hurt, because then I just felt like she was telling me to shut up, basically, although she didn't say that. She was very polite, obviously.
Yeah.
But,
So Jack, is it accurate to say that what was hurting in that moment is that you wanted your care to be seen and to count?
Yeah, it was several things. I mean, I guess I felt, first of all, just that I wanted to be, well, she was breaking the connection that we were having, because now the conversation was going to be over. Mm-hmm. So also that, I wanted to have some recognition that I could be heard. So I guess it's feeling that need to be heard, but not. I mean, that's a bit of an ego thing for me. So I guess that's not as important as. I want to
pause. I want to pause here and just bookmark this, because we're going to come back to it. When you judge yourself about something and you call it an ego thing, you're more likely to get angry, because then you don't have kind of like a gentleness towards yourself about what you want, and then it's easier to externalize it and make somebody else at fault for your difficulty. Yeah.
Well, I guess the point I was trying to make there was that I think I did have a need to be heard, but that's not so strong that I can't just give that up if I feel that's not working. But what I felt more was that I wanted recognition of the fact that I had her best interest in heart, that I was trying to do something helpful and be, show my caring for her by this, but then she took it as something that she didn't want, and so that's what hurt.
Okay, so what the most important thing is that you, if I understand it correctly, is you were trying to help her, and you wanted her to notice that, and for that to count towards something, the fact that you're trying to help her. Yeah. Okay. So
it just upset her. And it just upset her, and so so everything went wrong.
It was hard for you that she was upset instead of grateful for the help that you were offering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to play this out here in the studio and look at it a little bit, and afterwards I'll get back with you and check in with you to see what was useful or not in what we did. Okay. So I'd like you to stay on the line so you can hear us,
Okay, yeah.
But we're not going to be talking with you directly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so which one of you would like to be Jack?
I could be Jack.
You'll be Jack? Do you need to hear anything from Jack?
No, I'm good.
You're good. Do you need to hear anything from Jack about his girlfriend to be able to play his girlfriend?
I think I'm good. I think he gave me enough information.
Okay, great. So, you start. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more question to you, Jack. I want to know if you want us to focus on what you can do to transform the situation, or you want us to focus just on offering you some relief.
Oh, well, no, like I said, I think this has been a pattern that we get into, and so I want to try and find a way out to deal with it
Okay,
differently.
great.
So what I can do. Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So,
Oh gosh, I still haven't sublet my apartment, and I really, really need to find somebody because I can't keep paying all this money. So I'm thinking what I might do is ask the person to pay less money, and that way I can get it subletted sooner, which will cost me, but maybe I could just get another place to live and I'll be okay.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, if you were just to let go of next month's rent, for instance, and just take 75% of what you were asking for, you'd really make that back up in 3 months of having someone in there. So it seems like not too big of a risk. That seems to me like the most conservative and productive way to go forward.
Yeah, you know, I don't really want a solution. I just really wanted to just get it off my chest. I don't really want an answer.
Well, fine.
You don't have to get mad about it. I just, you know, that's not what I want right now.
Well, you were talking about it as though you wanted some answers.
okay, great. Let's stop here. Let's just check in with you, Jack. Does this look a little bit realistic?
A little bit, yeah, it's pretty close.
Is there any tinkering that you want to make with it to make it look more realistic?
Well, I think probably we both had used language that maybe wasn't as diplomatic or something, that maybe we had used words that triggered each other.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's different hearing it from outside than from the inside too, so I'm not sure how it would have looked from the outside.
Okay, so so there are two moments where something different can happen. The first moment is to be able to begin with, to be aware that what she wants is to be heard, rather than give her advice. And I am imagining that could be kind of like a challenging thing to integrate, because when you love someone and you care about them and you see what they could do that would make life easier for them, you want to just offer it to them.
It's almost impossible to do anything
Well,
else.
you know,
Jack, we are playing it now, so I would like you to stay in the background so that we can play it, and then we'll check in with you later. Is that all right? Thank you. Say it again.
Yeah, it feels almost impossible to do anything else, especially when I don't know whether she wants to be heard or whether she wants solutions.
Okay, great. So the first thing that you can do is check with her. Just to check with her, does she want a solution or does she want to be heard?
Right.
So
I don't have to assume that every time she opens her mouth, she wants to just be heard.
you don't have to assume it, but I think if you check, my guess is that probably 95% of the time, what she wants is just to be heard.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
And maybe initially it will be 100% of the time because she's gotten so much advice that she didn't want. And only after she gets heard enough times will she even notice that maybe some of the time she does want advice, but most of the time people don't want advice. Even if they ask for it, they don't want it. Isn't that annoying?
Yes.
They say, I don't know what to do.
It's so much easier for me to just give you the answers.
Okay, so do you want to practice just asking her?
All right.
So tell the story again.
All right. So yeah, so I'm trying to figure out what to do with my apartment, because if I sublet it for as much as I want, maybe no one will take it because no one's taken it yet. And if I ask for less, maybe I'll lose money. I don't know what to do.
Would you like some solutions right now, or do you just want me to listen?
No, I definitely don't want solutions right now. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just listen.
What was that like to do?
Strange.
Did you like it?
I did like it. I mean, part of me felt like he really wanted to give me advice, so I felt
Yeah.
kind of bad saying no. Don't give me advice. I know that's what you wanted. It, you know, it wasn't like, it didn't feel like it just a totally open, like he was like, either way works
Yes,
for me.
I understand. So he needs to do some work internally. But still, compared to him just giving you advice.
Oh, a million. I much prefer it.
Yeah.
Yeah, much prefer it.
Okay. How was it finding out that really what she wants is to be heard?
It was good. I knew to just let go of my.
Yeah.
Where
It
I'm
will
from.
take him time to change, because this sounds like a very, very, very kind of like deeply ingrained way of being.
Yeah.
So, but I'm guessing that once she tells you that what she wants is to be heard, before you give the advice, it will be easier to shift gears than if you give the advice and then she says, I just want to be heard, then it stings. But at this point, it didn't sting, did it?
No.
Okay. So, do you have a sense of what you can do to give her a sense that she's being heard?
Yeah, I could just connect with what it must be like to be in the situation. So it sounds like it's kind of stressful for you to still be holding up the question about what to do.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's just, it's a lot of money.
Did you see that breath? Did you see that breath? That's a breath of a little bit of relief. Now, the relief in this moment is not because the situation is solved. The relief in that moment, I want to check with you, but I'm pretty sure it's true, is because you no longer feel alone
Yeah.
in holding the problem.
Yeah. And I also was bracing myself for advice, thinking, oh gosh, I just really don't want to deal with that. And I could just go, oh wow, okay, we're just talking about this. It just felt nice to just
Yeah,
be in it with him, and yeah.
yeah. Was it hard to do?
No, not too bad.
Was there anything sweet about doing it?
Yeah.
Can
I
you-
don't know if I can name it.
You know why I'm asking you if there's anything sweet? Because my guess is if you're only going to do it for her, it's not going to be sustainable for you. There's got to be some reason for you to want to just listen to her.
Let me try it some more and see if I can get
Okay.
a sense of what's about.
Keep going then.
Okay, yeah, so there's definitely a lot of money on the line, and I can't keep paying this big rent by myself. So it's really stressful.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe you want some peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and just some help financially, you know? Just have a little bit of room to move in terms of where my finances go. Right now it feels like everything's tied up in rent and I can't do anything else.
Yeah, so you kind of want to have some freedom to just be able to live
That would be,
your life.
oh, it would be so nice. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, it feels good to feel like I'm getting her. That's what feels good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're also having a sense of connection. It's not just that she's having a sense of connection, but you are too. That is the intrinsic value of this. There's also another value to it, which is it usually happens that when people are heard, there is more spaciousness and solutions arise. Or there might be more room afterwards, when she's not afraid that you're going to try to force something down her throat. She might be curious in your thoughts at a later time. If it's not like this antagonistic thing of where she's talking to you and you're forcing the solution down her throat, and if she doesn't like it or she doesn't want it, then you get all angry. It's a very different dynamic. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely felt what you were saying about solutions arising. I definitely felt like I was getting to something. I haven't figured it out yet, but something about that was helping me figure out what was important to me. and
Yeah.
feeling like, okay, wait, now that I'm understanding what I want, maybe I can get to something that'll work for me.
Yeah. This is one of those really difficult challenges when you love someone and you want to help them, that if the fact that you figured it out doesn't mean that she can do it. Whatever it is that you figured out doesn't mean that she can do it. If it doesn't pass through her own connection with herself and understanding of what works for her or doesn't, she will either do it because you said it, or she will resist it, but it won't be an organic flow within her.
Mm-hmm.
She will have to find her own way, and all you can do is hang out with her while she does that.
Even when I know what's best.
But you know what's best if you were in her shoes,
Yeah.
but that's not what necessarily is best for her.
Yeah, that's true. She operates differently. for me.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Even without knowing her, it has to be true.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first moment in which something different could happen.
Mm-hmm.
The second moment is, let's say you didn't remember. You didn't remember to check with her, you didn't remember to listen. You threw the advice on the table, and she got flustered. And then what do?
I say I'm sorry.
That's the flip side of being angry. The one side of being angry is you are wrong. The flip side is I'm sorry, I'm wrong. And what we're trying to get to here is something that is outside that dynamic altogether. It's kind of like when somebody says, I just want to be heard, it's an invitation to hear what she's saying. So see if you can apply what you've practiced now to that moment when she says that.
Okay.
So you give her the advice.
So you should just sublet it for less for a few months and then repost it later.
You always give me advice, and I really don't want that. Can you just listen sometimes?
Great. That's the first step, is to really make space by just like slowing down and taking a breath.
So are you disappointed because you just wanted some space to talk about this?
I'm sick of this. It's the same thing every time. And I keep telling you, just listen.
So you'd like for me to really just check in with what it's like for you?
Sure, just anything but the advice all the time.
You really don't like being told solutions.
No, I mean, I guess if I asked for one, I'd want one, but not just spontaneously when I'm just upset, I just want someone to hear me, just to vent a little bit,
So, don't you like this exchange better than when you get angry?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it looked like it was a bit of a stretch.
It was hard to continue doing that.
Yeah. But it was coming back to that same sweetness. It's going to take more work to repair not listening to her in the first place than it will take to
Right.
listen to her. It's kind of like if you didn't listen to her initially, you would have to listen to her being upset about not being listened to. That's usually harder than to just listen to her in the first place. So let's try to remember the initial listening. Okay. I want to check in with Jack on the phone. I'm curious, Jack, was there anything useful for you about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some sense I know a lot of this stuff, but putting it in practice is hard. I think you said something about they're probably deeply ingrained habits, and I think I was going to say before that I think we're quite different personality types.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
From our perspective.
Thank you, Jack. And now we're going to take a little break, and after break we'll come back to our original scenario, and thank you for supporting Jack and playing this out, and we'll take a break and come back in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
honey, and it feels good in my mouth. But Mama needs some loving and communion, but I'm left hanging too far south. So I breathe in the air, invoke the water, honor the earth, burn in the fire.
Hi, welcome back to the Conflict Hotline. Here with me are Etzel and Sigal, and I am Miki Kashtan. And if you would like to participate in this show, please call us at 510-433-0700. And we're going to go back to Rob and Rosa. So you're no longer Jack, now you're Rob.
Back to Rob.
Back to Rob.
Got it.
Which bank are you going to rob today? And you are Rosa.
Yes.
And we don't even know what your name was before.
No.
And you said you would remember where we left off.
Yes, and we were talking about connecting with the need that was unmet for me in that moment. That Rob was telling me that story again, and it was around care, and just feeling like he cared about my time, and that care was really important for me. So connecting to that.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if when you connect with how that is for you, does it give you more room to be present? Instead of being focused on all the wrong things that he's doing, to just know what's important to you.
Yes, it does. I mean, I can also see how it might be difficult because he's talking. You know, as this is happening, he's still talking because I've chosen to not interrupt him and say, not that again. So he's still talking, and I'm trying to.
Okay, so there's got to be a way then for you to find a way to stop him briefly so that you can have the connection, but stop him in such a way that doesn't feel to him like disrespect.
Okay.
Let's try just that one line, and then we have another caller. So
Okay.
we're going to go to the caller in a moment, but let's just try finding a way for you to tell him, hang on a second, I need a moment to catch my breath.
Okay.
Or whatever your words would be, so that you buy space for yourself without making him lose his face.
Okay. So Rob, can you hold that thought for just one moment? Because I am noticing that I'm getting kind of upset, and I just need a minute to just relax a little bit and figure out what's going on with me. Do you mind just pausing your story for a sec?
Sure.
It's much better than her getting annoyed, isn't it? You'll take that any day
Totally.
over getting annoyed.
That's not hard to hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I hope we'll get a chance to come back to this. If not, but we have another caller on the line. Robbie, are you coming through? Hello, Robbie.
Hi,
Hi, Robbie. Are you the Robbie that called last time and couldn't get through?
I am, yes.
Oh, I'm so glad. I was so sad. So that's great. What's bringing you to our show today?
Well, there's a woman I know who, about a year ago, we were getting to be friends. And then there were some things that she did, and my response to those things that she did was that I lost trust in her. And now she's wanting to be friends again, but she's not wanting to talk about what's happened. She'll acknowledge it in a vague way, but she really doesn't want to talk about it. And she's been very assertive in terms of wanting to be friends. And I would like to be friends with her, but I don't know how to be friends with her without also in some way feeling like I'm betraying my own integrity. And so I'm just kind of stuck.
So, so the betraying your integrity would be related to just wanting to connect about what happened and have a real mutual understanding about it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Is it, do you feel comfortable saying what it is that she did?
There were a number of things, like
Why don't
like
you
not
picture...
believing what I was saying, like, and trashing some work I had done, not kind of refusing to listen to what I was saying, doing some stuff behind my back.
Okay, so so what I'm understanding is, in a way, it almost sounds like her not wanting to talk about this is part of the same kind of a thing that was going on, where you couldn't find a way to connect with her about things that were hard for you and how she was interacting with you at that time.
Right.
And that you really are, if you are going to be her friend, you want to have a way of having direct dialogue when there's conflict.
Yes, I would.
Okay, and the question then is what to do with the fact that she says, I don't want to talk about these things, I just want to be friends. Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I want to ask you, the last question is, do you want to focus on what you can actually do in the situation, or do you want to focus on just getting some relief for yourself so that you can feel better?
I would like to know what to do.
What to do? Okay. Who would like to be Robbie?
I can try.
You'd like to be Robbie? Okay. And let's pick a name for your friend. Doesn't have to be the real name.
Let's say Brenda.
Brenda?
Yes.
Okay. Do you need to ask Robbie anything to be able to play her?
I guess, Robbie, my only question is, you have directly confronted, or I don't want to say confronted, but you've just directly come to her with the fact that you want to talk about these things. Is that right?
You asked me if I directly confronted her about this?
Yeah, have you said to her directly?
I can hardly hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was asking if you have directly spoken with her and said, hey, Brenda, I want to talk with you about these things. It was that direct?
I did talk to her about it. This was about a year ago, and then I hadn't seen her very much for a long time, and she was like, no, she didn't want to talk about it. She just wanted to, get together and talk about other stuff. And then when we've been in a situation where we've been seeing each other more, at one point I said, well, that I appreciated the way that she was, being really friendly with me and stuff, but it was hard for me because I just wasn't trusting her, and she understood that, said we could take things slowly, but I haven't asked her again if she'd be willing to talk anything more about it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
And do you need to ask anything to be Brenda?
No.
All right, so Robbie, we're going to play this and then check in with you to see if it feels realistic. And then we'll continue with it and check in with you again afterwards. So please stay on the line, and unless I speak to you, if you can stay quiet, that will help us focus. Is that cool with you?
If I can't hear, can I speak up?
If you can't hear, you can speak up. Who is it that you can't hear? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yes.
Okay, so yes, if you don't hear, please speak up.
Okay.
Because if you don't hear, maybe other people aren't hearing either.
Okay, I'm just listening on the phone.
Okay, so.
Okay. So Brenda, I've been having a really great time with you. We haven't seen each other in a while, and it's been fun to reconnect. And at the same time, I'm kind of nervous about how we left things off, and so I kind of want to just take things slowly, in terms of just hanging out and reestablishing our friendship.
Well, that's great. Let's take things slowly, but yeah, I would really like to see you next week, though, and in fact, I would really like to see you every week, and just hang out and reconnect and do the things we used to do together.
So I want to pause for a second, because it looks to me like you expressed some things to Brenda, but you didn't actually tell her what you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You didn't make a clear request of her of what it is that you wanted. And when we express something, especially something vulnerable, and we don't make a request, the other person is likely to just say whatever they're going to say. Whatever will work for them, which isn't necessarily going to be what's going to work for you. But before we go into this, I just want to check with Robbie. Did this look realistic to you? Robbie?
Well, Brenda was the one who suggested going slowly.
Yeah, I'm
But
one
the
that says
problem
go
is that for her, going slowly means that she will try to act in ways that are more trustworthy, but also kind of just not talking about this too.
Did she say this, or is that what you are interpreting?
She said, "Let's take things slowly,"
Okay.
and she would be willing to, and she wants to act in ways that would be more be more trustworthy. She said that.
Okay. Got it. So my guess is that there is stepping into the vulnerability of asking her to talk about it. That's hard for you, and let's see if we can find a way of doing that our Robbie here in the studio can do that might work for you too.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start over because this was a little different.
A little off. Okay. So
it might be
So
useful
you
if I start.
yeah, Brenda
okay,
starts.
Thank
yeah.
you.
So I'm so glad we're being friends again, and I'd love to meet up. I could do every Thursday for the rest of the month.
Yeah, well, I do have some concerns about just rushing back into this friendship, especially how we left things off last year.
Oh, well then, yeah. Okay, we can go a little slower. We can just do like 2 Thursdays this month.
I think that going slowly had to do with, establishing trust. That you.
But I don't know what that actually looks like.
So you do need to ask Robbie more information. I think, because what I understood is that you will, kind of like regain trust by doing, maybe having other behaviors, not talking with people behind my back, or I don't know exactly what the things were, but something like this.
I can barely hear. I can hear, but it's just really hard.
Did you hear what? Okay, I'm at a loss for what to do, but.
Okay, I'll just keep trying. I'll just work really hard at hearing.
Okay, so let me just ask you one more question. In terms of establishing trust, what do you think Brenda means about doing things more trustworthy?
That she will be more trustworthy, or that?
That she will be more trustworthy. That's what she's saying. What does she mean? Do you know?
Well, I think she's just thinking that she's going to try harder to act more trustworthy. Like she's going to do things differently.
Which would look like what? Acting more trustworthy.
I actually.
Well, I can guess she didn't say exactly, but.
Okay, so
she didn't say exactly.
So this is the kind of thing that we need to establish, because all of this so far has been so completely in generalities.
Yes.
That we don't know what is going on. So I think at this point, let's have Robbie in the audience, in the studio, try out being specific. What is it? What are the behaviors that you would like Brenda to do? Do you have a sense?
I think, I have some behaviors I'd like to see. I guess what I want to say first, though, is that I really appreciate, Brenda, these statements that you're making about really wanting to be more trustworthy. I really appreciate that. And I guess what I want to know is that what that means to you means the same thing to me. And so I want to talk about what that looks like for me, if you're willing to talk about that.
So that, I like what you did, because that is a step that, even for somebody who is not like keen on talking about things, is a small step and is a concrete step. And it's clear what it is that you want to talk about. It looked to me like, looking at your face, Brenda, that you actually kind of like this was a brand new idea for you and you had some willingness.
I had some willingness.
Yeah. So it's kind of like one step at a time, and expressing the vulnerability of what it is that you want, which is really critical. Is there anything else that you would like to request of Brenda?
Well, then I think I would just go into the specific things. So one thing that's really important to me is to know that you're not talking about me to other people. That really makes it difficult for me to just relax around you and trust that I can just be myself around you if I think that you're going to turn around and talk about me to someone else.
Okay, so here is one other thing, which is, and that will be the last thing that we can do before we wrap up,
Okay.
which is, if she was talking about you with other people, probably she had some fear in talking directly with you. Is that true, Brenda?
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't going to bring it up with you.
Yeah, so if she had fear talking with you about certain things, just asking her not to do it doesn't address what actually happened.
Right.
So I would more want to say something like, so I know that we both share the goal of acting in a way that we can both trust each other. And I know that you're talking about me to other people didn't work for me. And so I want to find out what it is that makes it hard for you to come talk to me directly so that we can find ways to work together on transforming these dynamics. Are you open to telling me?
Well, after hearing you say that, then I'm more open to telling you.
Okay. So I just want to check with Robbie one last time, and then we'll move to wrap up. Robbie, does this give you a direction that you can follow?
Yes, this is great. This is like a step to take. It's really what I need.
Wonderful. I'm really glad you persisted, and I hope this works for you and supports this friendship that it sounds from what you're saying. Actually, there's a lot of heart connection, and both of you really want to be in friendship. It's really about finding a way to be honest, courageous, and caring at the same time so that you can really get to the heart of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to say to Robbie?
I really appreciate you helping us walk through this, and I'm glad to hear that it was helpful.
One thing that's interesting to me is how much information we need to actually get what's actually happening between the people. And so the distance between describing the situation and getting, okay, who's saying what and what do they mean and where is the disconnect? It's a vital part to me in figuring out how to approach these situations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Robbie.
Thank you.
And if you try something out with Brenda and it works, please send us an email to conflicthotline@bainbc.org so we know if we helped you.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robbie.
Goodbye.
Okay, so we are coming up to the end of our show, and I guess Rob and Rosa are never going to work things out today.
Forget it. Next month.
That's right.
We're not talking to each other until next month.
And next month, our topic is going to be Valentine's Day, so this may or may not work, and the two of you may or may not be here together. So Rob and Rosa are on hold for a long time. So what I would like to do to begin with is just to see if there's anything that stands out to you from what we did today that is kind of like an important point that you'd like to highlight.
Well, I talked about it already a little bit when it happened, but I really appreciated that part during the phone call with Jack about just being heard really allows for solutions to sort of spontaneously and much more naturally arise that are consistent with the person who is in pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I really appreciated seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was the focus on when I shared my listening with you, like when I shared my attention on what was going on for you, that it fed me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, somehow the moment that stands out is, when I made the request of you, Brenda, that it was so important that I frame it in the sense that it's going to help both of us. Mm-hmm. And I have a sense that that's what helped you relax into being willing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I am really grateful to Robbie and to Jack for calling and giving us really live material to work with. It's so much fun to have something real in the moment. And to all of you who are watching us, if you are interested in learning how you can bring these consciousness and practices into your life, you can visit our website, www.baynvc.org, or you can call us at 510-433-0700. And if you don't live in the Bay Area, you can also check out nvctraining.com. That's the NVC Academy, where you can learn nonviolent communication from anywhere in the world if you have a computer or a phone. And if you want to send us feedback about how the show is working for you, and if you have any scenarios that you'd like us to play out or suggestions or anything like this, please, we love getting your emails. Email us at conflicthotline@baynvc.org. And again, lots of gratitude to Itzel and to Sigal for jumping back and forth between so many different roles. It was roller coaster.
Oh.
And also grateful to the crew. And again, want to remind everybody this is an all-volunteer effort. And I'm very grateful to the people who are dedicating so much of their time to this. And for next month, if you have anything related to Valentine's Day, please call us. And we invite you to come join us next month on February 11th. Good night.
You cannot see eye to eye. Won't you step up with me and try? Drop the fences down, find the common ground, and take a deep breath.